NAS100, which stands for Nasdaq, basically is the top 100 tech companies in the United States economy, right? So they are putting into a group in terms of their individual stock prices that tracks the performance of these individual stocks. So basically, it is regarded as an index that tracks the performance of stock companies in the United States. Now, what that means is that if you're looking at Nasdaq as a whole, it does not only track the performance of these stocks alone, but basically tracks the performance of the whole United States economy indirectly. Understand it in this way. Now, all these companies that are listed on the NAS100 are in the United States economy, and then it's human beings that work in these organizations. Now, these human beings depend on the salary that are paid to them in these companies to have a livelihood in terms of taking care of their family, school, whatever it is, and having a better life overall. Now, remember also that, like I said, these are individual stock prices in the sense that the total stock price of that 100 companies make up for the current trading value of NAS100 at any point in time in the market. So let's say if you're talking about Facebook, Snapchat, all those tech companies, let's say Facebook is selling at $50, Snapchat $100, was it TikTok, whatever it is. Now, if you could go the 100 companies that inculcate NAS100, basically you're going to find certain stocks like Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Tesla, Nvidia, Alphabet, and so on and so forth, right? Now, Apple stock price is currently at $160, Microsoft $343, Amazon selling at $3,672, which is quite pricey. Tesla $1,140, right? And so on and so forth. Now, all these 100 stock prices currently make up for the current trading price of $16,586 for NAS100. So it means that if you add all these individual stock prices I've mentioned, there's a lot more to mention. Talking about Cintas, Microchip, O'Reilly, so many of them that we've never even heard of, then it makes up for the 16,586. So in this brief summary, then you want to understand that if NAS100 is doing well, then indirectly it means that the United States economy is also doing well, just like the initial explanation I gave, right? So that alone should tell you that for the most part, NAS100 is going to be a trending index, right? It's either going to be going on the upside for the long term or on the downside for the long term. Now, if it's going on the downside, then it's not a good thing for the United States, because it means that perhaps the United States may be in a recession, which they would fight at any cost to prevent, because who wants to find their economy in a dwindle? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reveal to you certain trends that have really taken place in the NAS100, which is going to start revealing that cheat code that you want to learn, right? In the sense that during any time in period where we have all these negative information affecting this tech stocks, then you're going to see a brief downtrend or perhaps a downswing in the NAS100. Prior to that, then it starts picking up. It starts picking up in an uptrend, which can really rally for the longest period of time. First, you want to think about the fact that a downtrend is not good for NAS100 pertaining to the United States economy, but an uptrend is really good for them because it indirectly instigates that US is doing well. What that briefly also means is that if you want to trade NAS100, then you want to be a trend trader. No matter what, whatever strategy you're using, you want to make sure that it's a trend following strategy. If you're using scalping, if you're using day trading, yeah, it may be able to sustain you, but for the long term, for you to have immense profit in the market, right, considerable huge profit in the market, then you want to learn a strategy that allows you to hold trade for the longest of term in this market, or a strategy that easily allows you to enter into the market for a swing trade. Simply put, a trend trading strategy. The next thing you want to learn when it comes to NAS100 is how I break down these charts psychologically, right? Now, I've done this in previous videos pertaining to US30, which are similar characteristics of the Nasdaq. Pertaining to my psychological levels, I like to break down the Nasdaq in pip range of 1,000, right? In the sense that I regard a 14,000, 15,000, 16,000, 17, and so on and so forth, right? I build it all the way up, right? Starting from 10,000 all through to the very relevant trading range it is in. Now, I took time to backtest this, and I observed that regardless of how we interpret NAS100 being it that stock index, there are certain points in the market where it gets to all these round figures, psychological levels that I've talked about, that you can see technical price action occurring, right? It could be those round figures holding strongly as a support, or those round figures holding strongly as a resistance. And then they have over the time provided insane entry points in the market for me. We're going to go briefly into the charts and then dissect the whole scope of NAS 100, which is like that cheat code that you really want to know if you want to master NAS 100, regardless of any style of trading you want to approach with it, right? So briefly, let me introduce. Now, if you're watching the chart, this is how raw is going to look like, right? Now, without any chart markups or indicator that I have here, or perhaps any technical levels, you're just going to see this, and then it may be very difficult for you to just jump in on this market, right? It doesn't really make sense to me if I look at this market in this way. Perhaps I may never know what is the next possible level that this market is approaching, right? You may be able to use certain technical knowledge like support, resistance, Fibonacci, but there's this thing about this NAS 100 in the sense that it hardly follows the generic trading technicals, which is Fibonacci, which is like support, resistance, because it can be trending in one direction for a considerable amount of time, and your technical analysis may not necessarily provide you that seamless entry into finding that trade into them. But once I reveal this, then everything changes. Right now, let me give you a brief scope of what I've been talking about over the past 5 or 10 minutes now, right? So if I zoom this all the way out, I already did this markup so that we don't have to waste much time, right? If I zoom all this out, then what can you observe with NAS 100? You can see that when it picks up for an uptrend, it can go for a considerable amount of time, just like you can observe here. When we zoom out, we can observe that long uptrend, and then we have this brief down trend, which, like I explained, is not a good sign for NAS 100. Then you can briefly see that it resumes that uptrend, which shows that yes, the economy of US is doing well, the individual stock prices are doing well, which means that the people that work in the company are going to have good life, because basically it transformed to mean that the companies are doing well as well, right? Then we have this brief downtrend again. It can happen from any reason at all. Maybe a negative news affecting generally the tech market, right? So when we have a negative news affecting generally the tech market, then we can see some of these stocks really losing value in their stock prices, and then it has a direct implication of how NAS 100 trades, right? Then briefly we can see it resumes that uptrend again. Then we have that intermittence period where it goes down again and then uptrend. So you can see that for the most part it's always going up, right? You have to just have that in mind. For the most part, NAS 100 is going up. Now let me reveal this to you. That is one major secret that the South African traders know that the rest of the world perhaps may not know, right? This is one major secret that South African traders know so well, and then they take massive advantage of NAS 100. Nobody trades NAS 100 globally than South African traders, right? When it comes to volume of trade that comes in pertaining to NAS 100 on a retail level, nobody trades NAS 100 more than the South Africa. A lot of volume come there because they understand this concept that I've just taught you, which is the fact that NAS 100 will always, for the most part, be trending on the upside. So you always see them buying NAS 100, buying NAS 100 on any daily basis, just buying, and then they stand to sustain any drawdown that may come intermittently with that strong belief that no matter what, that uptrend will still resume again. And in one way or the other, they end up coming back into profit, right? It may not be a very sustainable trading strategy for the long term, but as far as NAS 100 is involved, and then they understand that it just keeps going up, all they do is just keep buying. They may eventually expose all their accounts on a full margin, and they end up making much profit, right? So like we can still observe to the very trading range, right? Consolidation on the downside, resuming an uptrend, consolidation on downtrend, resuming, consolidation, resuming, and so on and so forth. So this very trading point, right? Now to break that cheat code, I always try to use my swing perspective in terms of all the other technical that I know to be able to jump in. And then what I do is that you wouldn't always find me jumping on NAS 100 at any point at all, or often be a trade that I take very frequently until I have all my technicals playing out perfectly to find that trade entry. And then once I get that entry that I want, I always make sure to hold it as a swing trade, because I understand the core principle that it can really trend in one direction for the longest period of time, right? So it could be me really watching a psychological level, which I observed that NAS 100 just came into holding strongly as a support or resistance. Then I want to find an entry there. So like, let's say it hit this point here, it drops, comes back into the region. I want to find an entry when I find my reversal patterns. And once I sell this here, you can trust that I'm holding this throughout until I find a pattern that signifies a trend change. And then holding this out basically means that I am going to be accumulating 100 pips from any entry point around this region and holding it throughout to this region. Now, even if I missed the initial entry point around that 14,000 region, then what could I have done? I could have only applied another technical knowledge, which is applying my Fibonacci, right? So from that top range all the way to the downside here, then we can see Fib really reacting, right? We can observe the market reacting in this 61.8 and then 50 retracement region, and then finding the very beautiful chart patterns within that area. Then I can just sell this market and then make the rest of the pips that would have been accumulated from it. So you don't always get me jumping in on NAS 100, but anytime I come in, then you should know that I'm coming in for the long haul and then coming in to catch the huge profit that's going to provide. Going forward, we can also observe that if you have watched my trend line strategy, which was like one of the very difficult decisions that I ended up making, because it was a strategy that I never decided to put out on the public, right? It's in one of my videos. Just scroll through my videos, then you're going to see my trend line strategy. Then you can observe that we have 0.1 here, 0.2, and then 0.3. So once I have that perfect 0.3 touch and that confirmation signifying that this market is going to go up, then what do you think I'm going to be doing? I'm going to be buying NAS 100 within that range again, right? Once I place that buy there, I'm holding this for the longest possible time, because I know that it is a swing market, or it trends in one direction for the longest period of time. So you want to understand all these cheat codes to be able to be a NAS 100 champion, right? If you want to master NAS 100 all throughout, then you want to really understand these things that I'm showing you, right? So like I said, I would not necessarily be jumping in on NAS 100 any day, any time, or any period in the market. You only see me really trading NAS 100 if it coincides with all this basic technical knowledge that I really understand and have mastered over the course of time, right? So like here in this kind of period, right, when NAS 100 is just trading in this range, if I observe that, yes, we just made a swing high, we just made a retracement, and then I find a perfect consolidation within this range, which is rejecting within that perfect Fib zone, then it may present itself as a perfect opportunity for me to jump in on this uptrend and then hold it for the longest period of time. So understanding all that I've just said means that you don't always get me just jumping in on NAS 100, because it's not always going to provide that seamless entry for me based on my technical knowledge. But once it does, and then I get in at the right time, then I'm in for the long haul, which is like holding this trade out to the longest possible time. And then people that are in my community, signal pages everywhere, even on Instagram, that I've sent out that let's buy NAS 100 or let's sell NAS 100, will testify about the fact that the least pay value would ever catch on NAS 100 is more than 500, right? It's straight away more than 500. We have been able to catch NAS 100 for as much as 1,000, 2,000 pips. And then there are several screenshots that I may perhaps post on this video so that you understand how insane we can be able to hold this trade and then amass as much money as possible based on this simple concept that I'm showing you here, right? So if you understand all this, then already you've understood the whole NAS 100 cheat code, and then you can apply this any style at all that you use. It may be a day trader, scalper, swing trader, but just having this core concept and foundation of the in-depth analysis of NAS 100, you're already on your way to success as a NAS 100 trader. So without wasting much time, I believe you guys have been so impacted with a lot of knowledge pertaining to NAS 100, and then you love this content. And if that is true, then smash the like button, destroy it, to help this video do well. Without wasting much time, click in the link in the description to join the KOJOFOREX Telegram community, and then follow me on all social media at KOJOFOREX. I'm going to bring you exciting content that is going to improve your trading knowledge in the next couple of days. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.